Destiny 2 can be a polarizing game to say the least. In the world of MMOs, looter shooters, and the other hybrids these genres have spawned, it can be hard to please everyone in your fanbase. And while I can understand certain gripes that fans have regarding content, systems, and features, one thing that would be hard to argue is the fact that Bungie has created some amazing sci-fi worlds within Destiny 2's levels. From the overrun yet familiar aesthetic of the European Dead Zone, to the eerie yellow greens and protruding rock formations of Io, each destination in the game is distinct, utilizing vastly different color palettes, locations, and architecture, yet they all still clearly fit within the universe and the identity that links it together. My main joy in playing Destiny 2 has been in treating the game less like an MMO or loot grinder, and more like an exploration game, forgetting objectives, power levels, and gear drops to just roam the world and see what I find. And while the variety of planets and locales provides for several types of gameplay experiences, there's one in particular that I think showcases Destiny 2's overall design philosophy. This is the level design of Titan. While named for Saturn's largest moon, the entirety of the Titan level in Destiny 2 takes place on an isolated ocean rig. This fact makes Titan unique because it actually doesn't contain any natural architecture, something found in pretty much every other level in the game. And while that may seem counter to the overall design of the game, one of the remarkable things about this level is that Bungie managed to create an entirely man-made environment that still follows all the formulas that make Destiny 2's worlds great. The first thing you notice about Titan is its art direction. It's an industrial rig filled with rectangular architecture and several tones of gray metal. This type of environment could have easily turned into a bland-feeling level, and believe me, that is all too often the case in other games. But on Titan, it's perfectly balanced by pleasing splashes of muted yellows and blues, turning blandness into immediately recognizable personality. Off in the distance, you'll constantly notice artistic pieces that serve as Titan's backdrop. Giant scaffold-like structures and platforms, crashed ships and docks that have been rendered useless by the moon's harsh weather conditions, and alien reminders of the fact that you're not alone on this station. The wide-open structure of the main parts to this level creates sightlines that make sure these background elements are always visible, making an isolated rig in the middle of an ocean feel like it's part of a real world. Titan is comprised of two main central areas, Siren's Watch and the Rig. These two open areas are connected by a narrow corridor, and each one continues to flow out into separate paths leading to more contained locations. To the west, you have the sinking docks, while the east side of the map is flanked by the Solarium, Arboretum, and Festering Halls sections. One last diversion path leads you to the south, where you'll find the Tidal Anchor section of the level. The most notable achievement of the design of the central areas is the fact that they are simultaneously extremely open and extremely dense. The level design of these sections allows for a free flow of movement between each element, so you never feel like you're trapped in one place. But there's also so much packed into each of these areas that it also doesn't feel like just a barren battlefield. These large arena-like sections are the perfect place for public events that feature heavily populated and often chaotic battles. These arenas are balanced by indoor locations that weave their way throughout the map, much less like the rooms of a building and much more like a system of alternate routes. There are points here where at times you feel like you might be venturing deeper into a secret area of a level, only to see the bright light from the outside shining through a door around the corner. It's really clever level design that constantly juggles feelings of familiar areas and feelings of new discoveries. These two central areas are heavily contrasted by the satellite sections that sprout out toward the edges of the map. These parts of the level are much more self-contained, linear, and closed off, and their main purpose is to serve as a setting for specific missions and adventures on Titan. The Sinking Docks area is a clinical example of effective art design to differentiate areas of a world. Entering this section of the map, you experience a gradual change of aesthetic as you continually make your way down, inching closer and closer to the endless waters below you, crossing broken or damaged pathways before ending up in this signature area that just hits you with a heavy dose of color. The way the bright blues of the water contrast with the red painted walls creates a beautiful environment that feels completely fresh, yet also clearly still part of the same level as before. On the other side of the level, you have something completely different. The entire eastern side of Titan's map feels like you're journeying to a totally different world in a way that really allowed Bungie to flex their creativity. Remember how I said there was no natural architecture in this level? Well, Bungie creates that architecture artificially here by having you snake through a system of tunnels and corridors that are teeming with both plant life and weird alien growths. You move deeper and deeper into the dark, increasing the level of fear and anxiety felt by the player, while also making for some really cool battles in which it feels like glowing projectiles are just being launched at you from out of the abyss. When you finally leave this area and see the open skies of Titan's main hub, it feels like you're taking a literal breath of air, and this is by design. The sense of relief you feel when you exit only exists due to the amount of tension created in the dark, sometimes claustrophobic environments of the Solarium, Arboretum, and Festering Halls areas of the map. The developers force you to get uncomfortable and make you feel like you're never going to get out of there, but they hold you there just long enough without overstaying. If this trip went on any longer, or if other areas of the level contain similar environments to the ones you find here, it would create too much stress for the player and detract from the world of open movement and free exploration that Titan was designed to be. The contrast here is really a great example of how good level design can create variety, not just visually, but also in mood and player experience. The last satellite section of the map is called Tidal Anchor, and is essentially used as a way to move you further and further away from your allies on Titan while isolating you in the middle of the moon's violent waters. Again, as with all three spokes surrounding Titan's center, this area of the level is mainly used for specific missions, which means it follows a predetermined path rather than allowing for more open exploration. But what makes this part cool is that it combines the long linear journey of the Solarium section with the wide open views of the central hubs. The dark claustrophobic environments are traded out for expansive views of the ocean and towering mechanical structures in the distance. It once again establishes an area that breathes new life into the overall theme of the level, taking pieces that are familiar but combining them in ways you hadn't yet seen. Each one of these areas is held together by the level's incredible art direction and overall world design. Through Titan, Bungie has managed to create a level in which every new area you explore feels fresh, but never feels out of place. Every piece has a purpose, and in a pretty rare feat for level design, Bungie nails those purposes to the flow, the feel, and the look of each individual region of the map. They use these same principles throughout the game's other worlds to create varied environments that constantly have you wanting to move on to the next section. But on Titan, the contrast between sections is both so stark yet so fluid that it deserves recognition. Taking a trip to Destiny 2's Titan is an experience in level design that should be remembered. It establishes breathtaking views and a fantastic aesthetic from the moment you land. It combines seemingly incoherent design elements and paths into one cohesive map. And it does all this while providing a playground of battlefields that not only allows for solo exploration, but also fits perfectly into Destiny 2's core function as an online shooter experience that can be enjoyed with others. Regardless of what you think about the game or the developer as a whole, Destiny 2's Titan continues to show how capable Bungie is at flexing its design muscles and creating memorable worlds worth experiencing.